You're welcome for that. Okay. It is time. All right. I want you all to think about this for a second. Have you ever in your life been doing everything right? You feel like you're practicing confidence, you're watching your thoughts, you're using your affirmations, you're trying to stay positive, you're being aware of your emotions, and yet somehow at the end of the day, you feel worse. You feel like you end up being more within your head, more aware of every little thing, more pressure to just get it right. And you start feeling less natural, less like yourself. And it almost feels unfair because you're thinking to yourself, thank you, Randall. You're thinking to yourself, like, I'm doing the work, so why do I feel stuck? Why do I feel stuck? I wanted to go over that because I think that that's something that sometimes can be a little uncomfortable to admit. And I think it's something that I see within people is sometimes we're almost thinking too much. I mean, we're doing these confidence lessons regularly, and it almost makes us too conscious in a way, if that makes sense. Sometimes trying to improve yourself too much actually is one of the things that's holding us back. So, the truth that nobody talks about is that we are in a world right now that constantly tells us, you need to work on yourself. You need to fix your mindset. You need to improve your habits, be better, be stronger, be more confident. And all of those things are good, right? But it can get really tricky because when self-improvement turns into surveillance over ourselves, where we're constantly watching ourselves, constantly monitoring yourself, correcting yourself, judging yourself, you are no longer within a state of growing, but controlling. And the confidence cannot grow when we are in a state of trying to control everything, right? Sorry, that made me laugh. So I just want to paint a picture of this. Like, you walk into a room, and instead of just walking in, your brain starts running, right? Stand up straight, put your shoulders back, don't look awkward, smile, but like not too much. What do I do with my hands? Where are they sitting? Where's my posture? Should I just walk? Like, did I just walk weird there? Did somebody just see this that I did? Should I say hi first? Should I wait for them to come to me? Or they, like da-da-da-da. And what just happened? You did not walk into the room. You performed your way into the room. And the more you perform, the less that you feel like yourself. This is something I can really struggle with, is going into a state of performance. This is something I really struggle with, especially like when I have competed in pageants in the past, is like, I so badly want to impress people. I so badly want to say the right thing or be liked or say something relatable that like, creates a connection with people. And I start thinking, why do you think I touch my hair so much? I'm constantly thinking about, I'm so conscious. I've stepped into a state where I can be so conscious about the things I'm doing that it actually makes me very self-conscious, if that makes sense. And it puts us in a state of performance. So why this starts happening is when we start learning confidence tools, we just in general become way more aware, right? And awareness is very powerful, but without balance, awareness turns into over-awareness. And over-awareness tends to create hesitation, pressure, self-doubt, disconnection from the moment. And it's like turning the volume up just way too loud on your thoughts. You hear everything, but it becomes overwhelming for us instead of helpful. Confidence has different modes. It has 2 different modes. One of the most important things that we can learn to understand is practice mode, right? Which is our intentional growth. Thank you, Vicki. Welcome in. Our intentional growth. This is where we reflect on behavior. We practice our affirmations. We learn new tools. We step outside of our comfort zone. We make conscious changes. We're doing all of the things that we're learning here. Thank you, Vicki. And this is where you build the skill, right? This is what we're doing to build the skill. But there's a separate mode that we have, and it's called living mode. That is natural confidence. This is where we start, or this is where we stop analyzing. This is where we stop correcting. This is where we stop trying. This is where we need to start laughing freely, not thinking about what we look like when we're laughing, not thinking about the things, not being conscious of this, but enjoying the moment, not analyzing, correcting, trying. We laugh, right? Without thinking about what we look like. We speak without rehearsing it in our mind before. You just say your thoughts in the moment, and you move without thinking about it. And you just exist in the moment. And that is where confidence shows up for us. So the problem is most people just never leave the practice mode. Most people don't know how to step outside of that practice mode that we've been curating. They think if I just keep working on myself harder, I'll finally feel confident, right? And what happens is we get exhausted. We become so mentally drained because we are in a constant state of like those gears just keep turning in our head. We become disconnected from people because instead of listening to what somebody's saying or trying to connect or genuinely caring about what's going on in the world around us, we're thinking about this. It's all inward. And we also start overthinking literally everything because we never give ourselves permission to just be. We never give ourselves that permission to just be. We're always looking at what we can improve. So I have an analogy. Imagine you're going to the gym, right? And you lift weights. Morning, afternoon, night, no rest days, no breaks, no recovery. What happens? Well, you don't get stronger. You get burnt out. You get injured and you get frustrated. Your muscles grow during a rest. And your confidence is literally the exact same way. You build it in practice, but you feel it in the moments when you stop trying. And I think that is so important for so many people. We don't ever give ourselves the permission to take a rest, to relax, to let our brain stop thinking for a moment and just be. So getting a little deeper into some of this too, I think we all have a need to get it right? There's a lot of overthinking. That confidence comes from this hidden belief of if I do everything right, if it all goes to plan, I'll finally feel secure. So we try to say the right thing, act the right way. We try to feel the right emotions and handle everything within that moment perfectly. But confidence will never, ever, ever come from perfection. Ever. Perfection's impossible. Ever. We all are going to mess up. Of course we want to do well, but there's going to be a lot of days we don't do well on something. There's going to be some days we absolutely suck at it. And then that's a hard truth, right? Confidence comes from feeling okay even when things aren't perfect. I want you to really check in with yourself right here, and because you might be overdoing it if you are replaying conversations in your head constantly. If you feel pressure to perform confidence, if you're analyzing your personality in real time, if you feel mentally tired from thinking about yourself, if you struggle to literally just relax and be present, and if you feel like you're never doing it right enough, and if any of those things are you, it does not mean you're failing. It doesn't. It just means that you've stayed in practice mode for too long, right? So we need to create a shift from control into trust for ourselves. You guys know confidence comes from self-trust. That is literally the biggest thing. So that's a shift that can change everything for us, right? Right now, you might be living within control. Fix it, analyze it, improve it. And we want to move into trust. Let it be. Let me experience this. I trust myself to handle it. A lot of that actually goes against human biology. Humans are quite literally programmed to constantly be predicting and expecting and thinking in advance, because what that does is it's a survival mode. It protects us. It keeps us alive. But when you move into a different state, not only does our creativity improve, but like quite literally everything else surrounding our personality, our mental state, everything also improves. So we have to reframe what we think confidence is, right? It's not constant awareness. It's not perfect behavior. And it's not always feeling strong. The word always is never going to happen. You're not always going to be something. Thank you so much for the heart, me. But confidence is trusting yourself without needing to monitor yourself, right? We don't need to be in a constant state. It's good to be aware, but it's not good to be so aware to the point that it consumes our mind. So I want us to work on finding a balance, right? The first thing we need to do is create clear practice versus our lives boundaries. We need to separate time where we grow and time where we just live. So our practice time is our journaling, our reflecting, our learning, but our living time is socializing, relaxing, experiencing. So I want you just to say out loud to yourself right now, say, right now, I'm not working on myself. I'm just living. It's okay to not be in a constant state of working on yourself. It's okay to take a whole day off, a whole week off, whatever you need. We're just living right now. There's a drop it technique that I also want to go over. So when you catch yourself overthinking, instead of diving deeper as we tend to do because we're practicing this, right? A lot of the time we're trying to analyze because we're becoming conscious and aware, but we also can drop it sometimes. So when you catch yourself sometimes going deeper into that, I want you literally to say to yourself, drop it. Not fix it, not solve it, not analyze it, just drop it. Drop it, done, we're done. And return to what's happening right in front of you. So whether it be a moment that we felt silly about and we're like, oh, we're people like, and we start over analyzing, catch yourself in that moment and say, drop it. Drop it. Nope, we're not going to do that today. We're not going to do that for ourselves. We're not going to think about how we could have done something differently, how we could have fixed it, how we could have been better. Drop it. What's in front of me right now? What am I doing right now? I'm talking to all these wonderful people right now. That's what I'm doing. I shouldn't be thinking about, oh shoot, like I did this silly thing on live stream earlier, the next thing is you need to let moments be messy. Literally give yourself permission to say so many things and perfectly stutter, mess up, whatever it is. You need to give yourself the permission to have awkward pauses. It's going to happen. That's called social interaction. And it's okay to not always know what to do either, because real confidence looks like being okay with imperfection. And then anchor into your senses. When your mind pulls you inward, right, you need to pull yourself outward and ask, what can I see? What can I hear? What can I feel? And we've used this in a few other instances to calm ourselves, calm our senses, things like that. That is always a great way to bring you back into the moment when you seem to be losing it. The next thing is do things just for fun. We don't always need to be looking to do things for growth, right? To get out of our comfort zone or whatever. Not for improvement, not for content, but simply just because we enjoy those things. Because joy creates natural confidence. So I want you to try this. Just think of a time that you felt truly confident. Not when you were trying to feel confident, but when you literally just forgot to try. Maybe it was a time you were laughing. You were with the people you love. You were fully in the moment. And notice something about that moment. You were not thinking about confidence. You were just being. And that's what we're trying to get back to. And that's a really big step in our confidence journey right now. So say these affirmations out loud with me slowly, real quick. I don't need to monitor myself to be enough. I trust what I've already learned. I am allowed to just experience this moment. I don't have to get it right to be confident. And confidence flows when I stop forcing it. Those are our affirmations that go with this. So it's just like if you've been feeling stuck, it's not because you're not doing enough. It literally might be because you haven't given yourself permission to stop fixing, watching, controlling, perfecting and just live. Because the version of you that feels most confident, let's be honest, it's not the one that's constantly thinking about it. It's the one who got lost in the moment and trusted yourself anyways, right? That's when we feel most confident. You don't feel silly goofy when you're enjoying. And I think it's so hard to enjoy nowadays. I really do think it is. So that's just the confidence lesson for today. This is just one I've been thinking of lately. I feel like I myself can get so caught up in like losing the moment. And like, especially like, even for me, it's hard on here because the one thing that people don't understand is like, you guys are seeing me, you know, react, move, whatever on here all day. I'm looking at myself. Literally all day, I'm sitting here thinking of my constant movements, the way I look, because I'm looking at myself and it allows me to be pickier. And I think I've also watched that in a few of our friends who are working so hard towards confidence that they start losing it. And I'm like, dang, it makes me feel like it's detrimental in a way. So I really wanted to go over this lesson specifically because of that. I think you just need to remember it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to take a step back from it, right? We have practice time. We got to separate practice. So we're not in performance mode, but we're in enjoyment mode. So that's today's lesson. I hope that was good for all of y'all, but ta-da, ta-da, ta-da.